The billionaire found his maid on her hands and knees in the garden, pulling grass from the ground and eating it like an animal. She didn't even know anyone was watching. James Carter stopped in his tracks. This woman had worked in his mansion for 3 years. He trusted her with his home, his life, everything. And now she was eating grass? He stepped closer. His shoes made no sound on the wet morning soil. Sarah didn't look up. She was too focused on what she was doing. Her hands shook as she pulled another handful of grass and stuffed it into her mouth. Tears ran down her face. James felt sick. Not angry, not confused, just sick to his stomach. "Sarah?" His voice came out quiet. She jumped like someone had hit her. The grass fell from her hands. She tried to stand, but her legs gave out and she fell back down. Her face turned red. Her eyes went wide with fear. "Mr. Carter, I can explain." "Explain what?" James knelt down beside her. "Why are you eating grass in my garden at 6 in the morning?" Sarah started crying harder. She covered her face with her dirty hands. "Please don't fire me. Please, I need this job. I need it so much." "Fire you? Sarah, I'm trying to understand what's happening. Are you sick? Do you need help?" She shook her head fast, too fast. No, I'm fine. I'm sorry. I'll never do it again. Please forget you saw this." But James couldn't forget it. How could anyone forget seeing another human being eat grass? "Come inside," he said softly. "Let's talk." "No!" Sarah stood up quickly this time. "I have work to do. The kitchen needs cleaning. Your breakfast needs making. I'm already late." "Sarah." James stood too. He was a tall man, over 6 feet, but right now he felt small. "You're eating grass. Nothing else matters right now. Come inside, please." Something in his voice made her stop. Maybe it was the kindness. Maybe it was the way he said please. Rich people didn't usually say please to their workers. They walked into the house together. James led her to the kitchen and pulled out a chair. "Sit." She sat. Her whole body shook. James opened the fridge. It was full of food, expensive food. Steaks, cheese, fresh vegetables, fruits from other countries. He pulled out bread, butter, eggs, and milk. "When did you last eat?" he asked. Sarah looked at the floor. "Yesterday morning." "Yesterday morning? That was over 24 hours ago." "I had some water," she whispered. James felt anger rise in his chest, but not at her, at himself. "Why? Why haven't you eaten? I pay you well, very well." "I know," Sarah said. Her voice cracked. "You're a good boss, the best I've ever had." "Then why?" She didn't answer. She just cried. James cooked eggs. He made toast. He poured orange juice. He put it all in front of her. "Eat, now. We'll talk after." Sarah stared at the food like it might disappear. Then she grabbed the fork and started eating, not slow and careful, fast and desperate, like someone who hadn't seen food in days, not hours. James watched her and felt his heart break a little more with each bite she took. When the plate was empty, Sarah finally looked up at him. "Thank you." "Now tell me the truth," James said, "all of it." Sarah took a deep breath. "My daughter is sick." James knew Sarah had a daughter, Emma, 7 years old. He'd seen pictures. "What kind of sick?" "Leukemia." The word came out like a punch. "She needs treatment, lots of treatment. The hospital bills they're too much, way too much." James felt cold. "How much do you need?" $50,000. Sarah laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. "Might as well be 50 million. I've been sending every penny I make to the hospital. Every single penny. I stopped buying food 3 weeks ago." 3 weeks? James couldn't believe it. You've been starving yourself for 3 weeks." "It's not starving," Sarah said quickly. "I eat grass and leaves sometimes. There's a park near my apartment with plants you can eat. I looked it up online. As long as I drink water, I'm okay." "You're not okay. You're eating grass." "My daughter is dying." Sarah stood up so fast her chair fell over. "What else am I supposed to do? Let her die while I eat steak? Let her suffer while I buy groceries? She's 7 years old. She still believes in Santa. She still thinks the world is good and kind. I can't. I won't." She collapsed back into her chair, sobbing. James ran his hand through his hair. He was worth $3 billion. $3 billion. He had houses in 5 countries, cars he'd never driven, art he'd never looked at, money sitting in banks doing nothing. And his maid was eating grass to save her daughter. "Why didn't you tell me?" he asked. "Why didn't you ask for help?" Sarah wiped her eyes. "Because rich people don't care. They say they do. They smile and nod and say nice things. But when you actually need help, they disappear. I've worked for rich families my whole life. I know how it goes. I would have helped." "Would you?" Sarah looked at him with tired eyes. "Really? Or would you have felt uncomfortable and found a reason to let me go? It's easier to fire the maid with problems than deal with those problems." James wanted to argue, but he couldn't, because he knew people like that. Rich people who talked about charity but never actually helped anyone. People who threw money at problems from far away but never got their hands dirty. Was he one of those people? "I'm writing you a check," James said, "right now, for $50,000. Sarah's face went white. "What?" "You heard me. $50,000 for your daughter's treatment." "I can't accept that." "Yes, you can." "No." Sarah shook her head. "I don't take handouts. I work for what I get." "Then consider it a loan." "I could never pay it back, not in my whole life." "Then don't," James said. "Or pay me back in 10 years, 20 years. I don't care. Your daughter needs help." Sarah started crying again, but different this time. These were tears of relief, of hope. James wrote the check. His hand shook a little as he signed his name. Not because of the money. $50,000 was nothing to him. He spent more than that on wine in a year. His hand shook because he was angry at himself. How had he not noticed? Sarah came to work every day. She cleaned his house, she made his meals, she smiled and said good morning, and the whole time she was dying inside, eating grass to survive. What kind of man was he that he didn't notice? "There's one condition," James said as he handed her the check. Sarah's face fell. "What?" "You never eat grass again. Promise me." She laughed through her tears. "I promise. And you eat 3 meals a day, real meals. I'm going to check." "Okay." "And," James paused, "you let me meet Emma." Sarah looked surprised. "You want to meet my daughter?" "Yes. Is that okay?" "Of course. But why?" James didn't have a good answer. He just knew he needed to see the little girl that Sarah loved so much she'd eat grass to save her. 2 days later, James went to the hospital. Sarah met him outside Emma's room. She looked different, cleaner, less tired. She'd bought groceries. He could tell by the way she stood a little taller. "She's excited to meet you," Sarah said. "I told her you're my boss, a very kind man." "I'm not that kind," James said. "If I was, I would have known you needed help sooner." Sarah touched his arm. "You're helping now. That's what matters." They walked into the room together. Emma was tiny, so small in the big hospital bed. She had no hair from the treatment. Her skin looked paper thin, but she smiled when she saw them. A real smile that lit up her whole face. "Hi," she said. Her voice was weak but happy. "Are you Mr. Carter?" "Call me James," he said. He sat in the chair next to her bed. "Your mom tells me you're very brave." Emma shrugged.
I'm just sick. That's not brave. Being sick and still smiling? That's the bravest thing I know. Emma's smile got bigger. Mom says you're helping pay for my medicine, the special kind that's going to make me better. That's right. Thank you. Emma reached out and took his hand. Her fingers felt like bird bones. When I get better, I'm going to pay you back. I'm going to get a job and work really hard and give you all your money back. James felt his throat get tight. You don't need to do that. Yes, I do. Mom says we always pay our debts. She says that's what good people do. James looked at Sarah. She was crying quietly in the corner. Your mom is right. But you know what? You can pay me back in a different way. How? Get better. Grow up. Be happy. Live a good life. That's all the payment I need. Emma thought about this. Okay, deal. She held out her pinky finger. James wrapped his pinky around hers. They shook on it. James visited Emma 3 more times that week, then 4 times the next week. Then he just started coming every day. He brought books, games, stuffed animals. He sat with her during treatments when Sarah had to work. He made her laugh when she felt sick. He held her hand when she was scared. And slowly, Emma got better. The special medicine worked. Her cancer numbers went down. Her hair started growing back. Her cheeks got pink again. 6 months later, Emma left the hospital for good. James threw her a party. Not at his mansion, at the park near Sarah's apartment. The same park where Sarah used to pick grass and leaves to eat. Emma ran around with other kids. She laughed and played and acted like a normal 7-year-old girl. Because now she was. Now she could be. Sarah stood next to James and watched. I don't know how to thank you, she said. You don't need to thank me, James said. You taught me something important. What's that? That I was living wrong. I had all this money and power, and I wasn't using it to help people. Real people. People right in front of me. I was so busy making more money and buying more things that I forgot what actually matters. And what matters? James pointed at Emma. That, right there. Making sure kids get to be kids. Making sure parents don't have to eat grass to save their children. Making sure no one suffers alone when I have the power to help. Sarah smiled. You're a good man, James Carter. I'm trying to be. That night, James went home to his mansion. But it felt different now. Emptier. All the expensive art and furniture and things that used to make him feel successful just looked like junk. He thought about Sarah eating grass in his garden. He thought about how close he came to never knowing, to walking past her that morning and going about his day while she starved. The next morning, James called his lawyer. I want to start a foundation, he said, for families with sick children, to pay for treatments that insurance won't cover, to make sure no parent has to choose between eating and saving their child. How much do you want to put into it? His lawyer asked. $1 billion to start. There was silence on the phone. Did you say billion? Yes. And I want Sarah Walker to run it. She knows what these families need. She lived it. Your maid? Former maid, James said. She's about to get a much better job. When James told Sarah about the foundation, she cried. Again, but happy tears this time. I don't know how to run a foundation, she said. You'll learn, and I'll help. But Sarah, you understand these families. You know their pain. You know what they need. That's more valuable than any business degree. Sarah took the job. Within a year, the foundation helped over 500 families. Kids got treatment, parents kept their homes. No one had to eat grass. Emma grew up healthy and strong. She never forgot what James did. When she turned 18, she started volunteering at the foundation. When she finished college, she came to work there full-time. I'm paying back my debt, she told James. Remember our deal? James was older now. His hair had gone gray, but his smile was real. You don't owe me anything. Yes, I do, Emma said. You saved my life. Now I'm going to help save others. That's how this works. That's what good people do. James thought about the morning he found Sarah in his garden. The worst and best morning of his life. Worst because of what he saw. Best because it changed everything. He used to think success meant having more money, more houses, more things.
Now, he knew different. Success meant using what you have to help others, real help, not just throwing money at problems, actually caring, actually getting involved, actually seeing the people around you who are suffering. The grass in James's garden grew thick and green, but no one ever ate it again, because James made sure of it. He made sure Sarah had everything she needed. He made sure Emma got to grow up healthy. He made sure hundreds of other families didn't have to make impossible choices. And every morning when James looked at that garden, he remembered. He remembered the lessons Sarah taught him without meaning to. That wealth without compassion is worthless. That all the money in the world means nothing if you can't see the people who need help. Sarah still worked for the foundation. Emma worked there too now. And James, he spent most of his time there as well. Not because he had to, because he wanted to. The foundation became his life's real work. Not making money, using it. Using it to make sure no child suffered, no parent had to starve, no family faced impossible choices alone. Years later, a reporter asked James about his biggest success. Most people expected him to talk about his companies, his billions, his empire. Instead, James told the story of finding his maid eating grass in his garden. That was the day I stopped being rich and started being wealthy, he said. Rich is having money. Wealthy is using it to change lives. I was rich for 50 years before I became wealthy, and I'll never go back. The reporter asked one more question. What do you want people to remember about you? James thought about Sarah, about Emma, about the 500 families that became 5,000 families, that became 50,000 families. All the children who lived because someone cared. All the parents who didn't have to eat grass. I want them to remember that I finally learned to see, James said, to really see the people around me. And once I saw them, I couldn't look away. So, what do you think? Did James do enough? Would you have acted the same way if you found someone you knew struggling like this? Sometimes the people closest to us are fighting battles we never see. Sometimes all it takes is one person who cares. If this story touched your heart, subscribe for more emotional stories that remind us what really matters in life. Because we all need reminders sometimes. We all need to remember to see each other.